So, today I will make a little Nakshatra talk because this Nakshatra cycle I will be following each day the Nakshatra of the day, and today is the first Nakshatra in the cycle, which is Krittika. The Nakshatras, they're the abodes of the gods, and Agni is the one that is for Krittika, the god, so fire. I just am a student. I've been studying Nakshatra since I read about Nakshatra in Srimad Bhagavatam approximately 3 years ago. The Bhagavatam 7:14-21, it's actually 20 to 23 in Srila Prabhupada's translation set. They're together, and there it says that one should observe his own Janma Nakshatra. So I checked my Janma Nakshatra, and it was quite precise. I found it almost difficult to believe how precise. And then I checked for others, and I also found the same. So then I began my study, and I've gone along with the month in the past to some degree of completion, and this month I will attempt once again. While it is Karttik, the name Karttik is derived from the same root as Krittika, and this is to do with the end of the month. The moon, the full moon, is in Krittika, and whenever the month ends, whatever the full moon is in that month is the name of the month. And the Lord of the Nakshatra, along with being the Lord of the Nakshatra, is the Lord of the month, which is named after that Nakshatra. So in this study, what I with my colleague or colleagues, what we are utilizing as our resources. On the one hand, we have Vraja Kishora, also known as Dicara. His material, he has the 27 stars, 27 gods, the authentic heart of Vedic astrology, Nakshatra, from him. And so, yeah, we are reading one, the relevant passage to each Nakshatra. So today we read Krittika. Here's a little summary. It's Krittika, the sharp blade. And he explains, as is rather obvious, the word Krittika and critical. And if you think about fire, he explains how in order for the fire to release the fuel, it needs fuel to burn. So it has to cut into the fuel source. So for digestion, or when a log of wood is burning, you see that this fire is cutting deeper and deeper, otherwise it will go out. So it's that cutting nature that gives the fire its sustenance. This is how fire works. And so these people, as it says here, Krittika is bright, brilliant, intellectual, and quick to digest. It is a star of insight, incisiveness, and dissection. It is analytical and critical, and therefore not favorable to things requiring tenderness or tender care. So, also the star, or stars, the constellation, it is the Pliedies. So tonight, if it's a clear night, we'll be checking up with Star Walk 2, this app, to check, to observe the star Krittika. And when the moon is conjunct with the constellation is when it's, so conjunct means you see the moon and you see the star just in the closest proximity. And so aside from these resources, the Star Walk and Vraja Kishore, he has some videos on YouTube. I also like very much Abhigya. So I think his videos have the YouTube channel Conscience. I like to watch his videos as well as Vraja Kishore. And there are some other nice Vedic Jyotish resources in the future. When or maybe in the description, I'll put some other resources. But I just wanted to give a quick talk, a quick synopsis. I'm just a student, and like I said, not a very expert, but sharing for those on the Nakshatra and the Bhagavatam study. Also in the Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 11th chapter, text number 18. Lord Sri Krishna, he is coming in the Chandra Vamsa. This means he's a descendant of Chandra, the Lord of the moon. And when his mom is calling him on one day, she said, Krishna, come take your bath, because he's playing with his cowherd boyfriend, his cowherd friends, and take your bath. Today is the day of your Janma Nakshatra. You should take bath and give charity to the Brahmins. So it is this practice in the West. So people, they follow a birthday based on sort of this calendar, which is rather a recent calendar. The Vedic way, they considered that the Nakshatra day, which came every month, would be observed. And rather than, expecting things, gifts, one would give gifts and charity on these days. Or do extra austerity, maybe fasting, or extra meditation. It was considered a good day for those types of things. And the takeaway, so many people, they get a little bit tripped up on the Nakshatra verse, because they think the verses, if you look in with vedabase.io, where it gives you can always research any word. So it's Nakshatra without the H in the Vedabase, because if you type in with the H, you'll never get anything. So it's Naksatra, and then you can see so many times this word is mentioned. And also constellation is also a alternate word which means the same. Like it says when Krishna takes his birth in the chapter 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto, verse number 2. This is just the first thing we learn about Sri Krishna, is that the constellation Rohini was, the moon was in the constellation Rohini, which means it was in Rohini Nakshatra. So, unless you know what is a Rohini Nakshatra, this word has no meaning for you. It's like reading ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics if you don't know what they are, or Chinese if you don't know Chinese. It's meaning nothing. But with a little bit of study, it have so much meaning, like a zip file. And you see a zip file, it's just one little icon. When you open it, it's like you have a whole encyclopedia. So from the explanation, when you study and also apply the science, it means you meet people, you ask them their birthday, and usually I go to AstroSeek, www.astro-seek.com, and then I usually use the search term Nakshatra, because they have some other searches you can also utilize. And it's like in the old times, you would have had to pay or donate to one astrologer or something, and it'd probably be like the fee of a lawyer in equivalent. So maybe a day's wage, so you can just get this writing, where was your moon when you were born. Or you could just, if your mom was an astrologer, she would have watched. So, or your family had a friend who would have watched, where was the moon, which star was it conjunct with, then you would know what is your nakshatra without paying someone. But otherwise you would have to go back and research or do some math. But today with the computer, it's in 10 seconds you find out. And not only where your moon was, but where the sun was. But for for avoiding information overload, I find it's enough to just check what is, my nakshatra, and then study that, and then, because that's also what Sri Krishna did. So we can say, like, this is a practice even his mother taught him. So pre-Krishna times, people would observe their nakshatra, and only out of forgetfulness in the modern times. It was even in China, in the Celtic, what I've read is in the Chinese tradition, they had something similar. It's really 28, but the 27 are what are in practice for analysis and personality patterns. But nakshatra means moon nakshatra in essence. But you can also see which constellation was the sun conjunct with, and that will also tell something. And which constellation was in the ascendant, this will also give some information. So that is, that's some basic. And then, so like, for instance, if Krishna was born in Rohini, at the beginning you may not know, okay, what a Rohini signifies. But one is when you start to read from, the literature in pursuance of the Vedic version. Like if a person is a Gaudiya Vaishnava, there's a prayer, the Shikshastika, where you say, like, one of the offenses is to blaspheme Vedic literature in pursuance of the Vedic version. So that's something like the Nakshatra Sutra would be included in that. We don't discount it. Okay, it's not in everyone's destiny that they should study Nakshatra Sutra, and it may not have a bearing on their devotional life, but at the same time we should not discount this as a bona fide Vedic science. And so therefore, for one who has a scientific inclination, so they have no reason not to develop some understanding. It's like, I'm only trying to get to the point where a child in Vedic times would have been. So children, if you know each of your friends' nakshatras, you start to see the behavior patterns of different people. And if, like I try to explain, one wants to understand the effect of the sun, right? Let's say we never knew what is the effect. What is the sun doing? It's making light, but that's nice. But what else is it doing? Right? It's making the plants grow, right? But how do you know that? If you take some plant and you put a cover on it where it doesn't get any light, you see that the plant doesn't grow anymore. It turns white, and then shortly, like, it withers away because it can't live without light. And so you know that the effect of the light is to make things grow. But the other light, that's the word Jyotish means light, the study of light. The other light, like from the moon and the stars, it's not so easy to see what the effect is. However, imagine if one is a midwife or watching babies born. Let's say 400 babies are born a year, and you're watching them all come into the world. And at the same time, you're observing where the moon is in its cycle in the sky, and which star is conjunct to the moon during the time of birth of the different babies. And then you start to notice different patterns. These babies are a little bit more tendency to be, or let's say, cutting, have a critical nature. And so, and another babies born in another star have a more tendency to be people pleasers, pleasing appearance, pleasing voice. So, or so many different possibilities, but they're all patterns, behavior patterns, appearance patterns. And this is like in the material way, we can understand, like, people are born in different parts of the world, and they have different patterns of facial features. That's a bodily, and then there's the subtle body. So this is explain that the subtle body is determined through these connections with the sun, with the moon, and the nakshatra. So when a person is born in certain nakshatras, it is observable that these patterns are just like if you as a child, you may not be able to discern which nation a person is from when you see them. You might not know, okay, this person looks like he's from, I don't know, Egypt, or he's from Japan. But as you get older, you start to recognize, I think he's from Japan. Maybe I could be a little bit, but it seems like, So, and it's like that with this nakshatra too. You start to observe, and you don't get also disturbed by the different behavior patterns of people. So, because you realize every kind of person is needed. We're interdependent. No man is an island. So, some people bring, let's say, fiery, decisive leadership, but they may not be so calm in all cases. They may have a tendency to burn people out. Whereas, a person who is, let's say, Varuna, as when the moon is conjunct with Varuna, this person is born. He has not so much fire because water has no fire. So he's pretty, maybe seems lazy, pretty content, happy, no matter, but not very much initiative. And so, but they could use each other sometimes, that they together can work as a pair nicely, perhaps, and sometimes not. But but at the same time, not to be also tripped up about people's behavior patterns, but recognize rather, okay, this person brings this to the table, and actually also has sort of a handicap, or disability in a certain way. They're not going to be ideally suited for certain other things. They'll be very good at certain things and not so good at other things. Today is Krittika Nakshatra, which again the month of Karttik is named after, because the full moon at the end of this Karttik month will be in, again, Krittika Nakshatra. And as I say, I'm just studying with some colleagues, and this is just a talk to a little synopsis of my own insights, and passing on what I've gleaned from my studies, so I can perhaps inspire or the curiosity for others, make a little bit of a shortcut perhaps for someone who hasn't yet explored these studies. So for anyone who's also likes to connect, who's already studying or like to connect, we also like to connect. Maybe one day we have a Nakshatra conference, and or just a bunch of kirtan and a little Nakshatra talks. We'll see what will be. Hare Krishna.